Alright, so today I'm going to be walking through chords, and in this particular video I'm going to be focusing on just the triad, which is 3 notes together. Those are some of the most... There are chords with 3 notes, triads, there are chords with 4 notes. I'm just doing the ones with 3 today, the triads. And I'll be walking through the symbols of each chord and how they look when they're played, which notes are included. So we're going to start with a major chord, a major triad, and the symbol for that one is going to be, if we're gonna choose a scale to work in for this example, we're gonna use the key of C, because that one is one of the easiest, one of the simplest ones. So, for example, when you see chords like a chord progression like G, E, C, for example, you might see just numbers like this. So, when we're talking about the C chord here, so this one, when we see that chord, that letter with nothing else added to it, that tells us that it is a major chord. And so the major chords are just going to be our most basic, our most simple chord, and that is going to be 3 notes. So in that chord, we are going to take the root note, or the 1. In this case, it is C because we're in the key of C. The chord is also C. So we're going to go with C. That's our first one. Then we're going to go up to our 3rd note in the scale. In this case, it's going to be E. And then we're going to our 5th note, which here is G. So our C major chord, so that is our major. Now, if instead of that regular C, we see something that looks like this. Some places you might see a lowercase m too. This is going to be our C minor chord. By the way, that first C, the C major, you might also see it with a capital M, so that would indicate major. But here, right now, we're working with the minor chord. So the minor chord, what that is we are going to stick with our first 3 notes that we did before, but our number 3 is going down half a step. That is forming, that's the minor, which if we'll talk about more about minor scales and minor notes in later videos, but for now, in this video, when you see a minor chord, the 3rd note is going down half a step. The other 2 stay the same. We're just going down here. So C minor, if I were to play C major, minor just down a half step right there. You can hear the difference in the sound too. So that's our minor chord. If we move on to a diminished chord, so we're still going to be using that C, but you might see a symbol like this, or something like this. That there is a diminished chord. And so for that one, we are going to do, we're going to take our 5th note and our 3rd note. We're going to take them both down half a step. So now, rather than the major that we started with, the C, E, G, we are going down a half step on the 3, down a half step on the 5. So this is what it's going to sound like. and that is our diminished triad chord. Now we've got an augmented chord. Augmented chords, we are going to keep the 1 and the 3 the same, but the 5 is now going up half a step, so we're going up to G sharp in this case. The other two are staying the same. So when we play these all together, that is our augmented chord or augmented triad. And if you were to see those written down, you might see a little plus sign or the symbol AUG. And that is what the augmented chord will be written as. Now, you might see some sus chords, and those could be written like, the most common ones are going to be a sus2 or a sus4. So you might see something like C sus2 or C sus4. So what are those? We're going to start with the 2, the sus2. So for these chords, we are substituting, instead of the 3 note, we're either going to be playing a 2 or a 4 instead of the 3. So for C sus2, we are taking it down to the number 2. This is a 2 note in the scale. If you don't know the numbers, you could watch my video on the Nashville number system. Or I think I have one on octaves or scales or something you could watch too. I'll make sure I put the links in the description for this. But we are replacing the 3 note with a 2 when we're doing sus2. So, and we're keeping the 5. So we'd play it as, and as you can imagine, if we're playing a C sus4, we're going in from the 3 to the 4 note, and we're playing the F here. So C sus4 is going to be this one. Now, if you want to see how these are written out, we're just going to pretend or make this an Arnold G clef. If we were to write all these chords out, I'm going to start with middle C. I'm just going to use the C chords again as an example. So we're going to have this line down here for our middle C. This is going to be our C major. So we'd have our note on the C, the E, and the G. So pretty simple. Now if we do a C minor, our C is the same. Our E is actually going to be E flat. Now, this isn't when you're, actually I'm going to hold that thought. It's not necessary. So this is going to be a flat. And then G remains the same. So E flat. Our next one that we did was a diminished chord. And that one's going to be C, E flat, and G flat. And again, I'm not writing the stems on the notes here because we're writing chords. So typically chords are going to look like this, or they might have instead. You might see this, the open note heads instead, but I'm just marking spaces with this particular kind of note here for this example. And then we had our C, our augmented chord. So C and E are the same. G is going to be sharp. Now if we do C C sus2. We're going to do a C is the same. Now instead of the E, we're going down. So that's going to be our D. And then G remains the same here. And then C sus4. C, we're going up, next note, which is going to be F, and then G. So that's how you would see the chords written out on your sheet music. And that's pretty much what we covered. So I hope this was helpful for you. And again, if you're unfamiliar with the intervals, or the numbers, the 1s, the 3s, and the 5s, you can go back to some of the other videos I'll link in. So have a great day.